Hi, this is Shannon from SAS, the number 4 teachers.org. We're so glad that you've joined us today to explore more about how to do math tasks in the primary grades. Today, our task is going to be on dinner time. If you haven't watched our introductory video on our how math tasks are integrated, be sure to check that out on our YouTube channel with the handle at SIS, the number 4 teachers. Math tasks are going to help to promote mathematical thinking and apply rigor for deeper thinking within the tasks that we're asking a child to do for the application of their math knowledge. We'll be integrating the 8 mathematical practices, also known as the process standards. One of the main things we'd like to do in a task is to give an anticipatory set. This could be a still frame photo, it could be a video clip, or you even could do a story. Read a story about the idea of what you're talking about in the task. The anticipatory set gets kids to kind of anticipate the scenario that we might be looking at. In this scenario, we're going to be given an open-ended task. What that means is there could be multiple answers for our task. We went to Grandma's house for dinner. When I looked under the table, I counted 10 legs. Who might they belong to? Now, you can also differentiate this task. For littles and pre-K, you could look at maybe you looked under the table and you saw 4 legs. Whose could they belong to? Maybe you saw 8 legs. If you wanted to, again, to make this harder, with students even in 2nd grade, you could look under the table and see 20 legs. The idea here is to get kids to kind of explore their math knowledge, what they're understanding, to think about this in a certain way. Now, getting kids that idea, in this picture that we have here, you really only can see, the legs of the person holding the turkey and the gentleman sitting to the right, but I can also see those dog legs as well. So getting kids to kind of be creative. I'll never forget when a child, I was doing this task, their grandpa has a leg amputated, and so they were talking about this one leg. So kids will have lots of creative ways to think about the scenario and how they can apply it. So in here I'm kind of talking about going to grandma's house or going to a friend's house for dinner, and then if you did look under the table, what would you see? Certainly some kids could also be explore the idea there's a cat in the picture. I mean, tables have legs and so do chairs, right? So they could really come up with lots of possible solutions, which is what we're looking for here. When we look at the task, we want students to first start off acting this out concretely. I like to give them a variety of manipulatives, not counted out specifically. I'm not going to count out exactly 10 counters if I'm doing this, let's say with a kindergartner. I would like them to be a little bit creative and see if do they know to grab out 10 counters? You're really seeing how they're applying the math on their own. Be really careful not to be the giver of all the information and auto-correcting students or making them get the task right. That's not the idea of math tasks. It's supposed to be more of an exploration to see if they're more of a novice, an apprentice, a practitioner, or an expert. Here I've kind of used my mat. I used purple counters on my mat and talked about some possible solutions. What you want to do is let the kids kind of explore to see how they come up with their totals, and then ask them. When I'm looking over here, I'm wondering what in this person's thought process in the top part was getting 4 legs. So a student might say, I saw grandma's legs, she has 2, and then I saw, grandma's cat, and I saw grandma's dog. And so I can see that here there are 10, and if I counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and that's what the legs represent. A child down here might have this on their mat where it might say, I saw grandma and I saw grandpa, mom, dad, and me. That's who was at dinner, that in that scenario. And so they kind of created their counters to represent that. The idea here is you're giving kids to explore. Again, if I were to bring this task down or to bring it higher, that same idea of them grabbing the counters and explaining sort of how you can act out the task, on the mat. The next part would be to draw, their mathematical thinking. So I chose to use X's here, and maybe grandma was in the kitchen when I looked under the table, and I looked under and I saw mom's legs. She has 2. I saw Dad's legs, he has 2. I saw Grandma's kitty, and I know that she has 4, and then there was me. So I counted all together, that I have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There isn't necessarily an answer box here because I'm telling them how many, but the child is labeling with words who those people were in the picture. Again, they could do stick people if they wanted, but as students get older, we really try to do a pictorial representation for their thinking. It doesn't have to be an actual person and their body and their legs, but it can just be, ringing something and putting circles or X's in it to represent that. Again, if students wanted to put numbers above here, 1, 2, 3, 4, to show they had the total of 10, that would definitely be a great way to show their mathematical thinking. The bottom part here says recording my mathematical thinking. So what did I do first? First, I counted out 10 counters. I put 2 counters down for me, my dad, and my mom. Last, I put 4 counters down for my cat. So it's just them explaining how they're doing it. Remember not to always do those leading questions. Ask open-ended as students are doing this. You want to question them in a way that's going to help them. So when you're doing a task, you always want to have an anticipatory set to get the kids the idea of what's being asked, give them an opportunity to act it out concretely, and maybe some students might stay in this phase for a while until they can auditorily hear a task and be able to act it out. Then we'd like them to move to a pictorial representation and then to be able to give you a summary. You can also add any tasks that you want in this way, but kind of adding in the rigor that we're kind of looking for. So we hope that you'll join us on our website for other tutorial videos on different math tasks similar to this one with a free download at sis4teachers.org. We'd love it if you joined us on any of your favorite social media channels from Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, or LinkedIn, all at the same handle at sis4teachers. Thanks so much for joining us.